July 2026 sees the 200th anniversary of the opening of the company town and docks of Goole. The new town and port were purposely built by the Air and Calder Navigation Company and connected to the company's network by the newly built Knottingley-Goole Canal. It is a time to celebrate and commemorate Goole Docks' heritage and the significance of the Knottingley-Goole Canal, which connects the port to England's inland waterways network. We start our journey down the Knottingley-Goole Canal at Hurst Boat Builders. They have been here since they bought the site in 1985. It used to be the site of Harker's Boatyard. John Harker was born in North Yorkshire in 1846, and he came to work for the tar distillery Stainsby and Lyon in Knottingley in 1877, working sending 5 barges down the canal, which were pulled by horses. When he became a director, the shipyard was named after him. Harker's was shut in 1979. Canals have played a significant role in Britain's history, especially in the Industrial Revolution, as they were used to ship resources to manufacturers and manufactured goods to customers. More importantly, it allowed for large-scale mass transportation, which at the time was unavailable. They helped industrialise Britain. They mainly developed in the 1700s, although the first is the 1560s built Exeter Canal. Work began on the Knottingley-Goole Canal in 1821, a year after an Act of Parliament was passed, allowing work to be carried out to make water navigation of the Air and Calder safer and faster. The original surveys were completed by renowned canal engineer John Rennie and later taken over by George Leather. The Knottingley to Goole Canal was opened in July 1825, followed by the town and port on the 20th of July 1826 as an extension to the Air and Calder navigation. First used in 1704, the navigation starts from Wakefield, where it follows the River Calder, after which it is joined by the River Aire at Leeds, before reaching its end at Goole Docks, where the Knottingley-Goole Canal ends. The Knottingley-Goole Canal forms a part of the lower Aire network of the Air and Calder navigation. Knottingley is a historic settlement located on the River Aire. It was recorded in the Domesday Book as Knottingley-Goole, meaning the clearing of Knotter's people. It was well known for its glassmaking in the 1800s. It was the site of the last deep coal mine in the UK, Kellingley Colliery, and it was renowned for boat building even into the 1900s. This was owed to its historic importance as an inland port. It was so important because, until the Air and Calder navigation was established, it was the last navigable part of the River Aire. It was later expanded in 1826, the same year the canal was constructed. Over 350 ships were constructed at Knottingley. Some of these vessels ranged from tugboats to barges to fishing boats called side trawlers and many more. The first motor vessel launched was in November 1929. It was a steam tanker named William Kipping, so called because it was named after James William Kipping, the son-in-law of John Harker, who ran the company with James Harker, John's son, once John had died in 1911. Harker also started utilising gravel barges, as in dry cargo barges. Owing to the amount of flaxseed available, West Yorkshire developed a booming textile industry in the 1700s and 1800s, and this required not only the transport of materials to the mills, but also transport for the finished goods to reach their national and international recipients. Thus, the size of the ships started increasing. As such, they started to struggle to navigate the River Ouse, along with other reasons. In the late 17th century, a consortium of businessmen and owners came together to create the Air and Calder navigation to try and create an easier way of transporting their goods from West Yorkshire into the North Sea. A series of improvements took place to the Rivers Aire and Calder during the 18th century, and the company opened the Selby Canal in 1778. This was a part of the Upper Aire network. The Selby Canal provided a bypass for the River Aire, with eventually 4/5 of goods passing via Selby and the remainder via the lower Aire. The canal did, however, have problems due to its size and depth, and that Selby docks were unsuitable for brigs and other vessels. Competing designs for a lower air network led the Air and Calder Navigation Company to make plans for the Knottingley-Goole Canal. This would help bypass some of the shallow water and sandbanks that would pose a problem for these ships, and this new transport link allowed vessels to connect to the Ouse with greater ease, improving trade and making it safer for travelling ships. In turn, when the ships reached the Goole Docks, they would then go on to the Humber Estuary and ultimately the North Sea. It is inarguable that because of the Knottingley-Goole Canal, exports and industrial output increased in the Yorkshire region. During the late 18th and early 19th century, there was a canal boom, with several plans for new canals in Yorkshire. The Air and Calder Navigation Company wanted to keep their monopoly, planned and built their new canal between Knottingley and Goole. George Leather was principally involved, with Thomas Bartholomew later becoming appointed as the Air and Calder Navigation's chief engineer. Thomas and his son, William, helped improve the navigation. William was responsible for helping this canal to not only survive, but thrive, thanks to his Tom Pudding compartment boats. One of the challenges facing canals during the Victorian era was the threat of trains overtaking them as more efficient methods of transportation. Their uses were not limited to just transporting people, but goods too. In particular, in the 1850s, the South Yorkshire Railway helped bring colliery traffic from the South Yorkshire coalfield to Goole and other places where it was needed to be used or distributed. Relevant to Goole was the development of the Wakefield, Pontefract and Goole Railway, WPG, which was absorbed into the Manchester and Leeds Railway in 1846, which soon became the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway. The railway opened in 1848 and provided a competition to the canal network. The Air and Calder Navigation Company allowed the WPG to open their own station and dock in Goole, so that this competition was controlled and the Knottingley-Goole Canal remained relevant. In 1863, William's compartment boats, the Tom Puddings, meant that the Knottingley-Goole Canal could carry and bulk transport massive amounts of coal, amounts that could compete with the trains. They consisted of compartment boats, or pans, pulled by a steam and later diesel-powered tug. They were rectangular with a Jabus breakwater and typically consisted of 19 or 38 pans per tug, with each one holding between 30 and 40 tons of coal. They were connected by chains, and an axe was kept handy in case one of them sank and they needed to disconnect the compartments. The shape of the compartments and how they are chained together is thought to be inspiration behind their nickname, Tom Puddings. The name Tom Puddings is much debated, with no documented origins. They were first referenced as Tom Puddings in the 1870s, and one explanation is that Tom came from William's father, and pudding either came from the fact that they looked like black pudding pieces stringed together, or the rounded shape made them look like a Yorkshire pudding tin. This canal was known as the railway on the water for how economic it was, even compared to the trains. The locks were originally a slight issue, as they were between 215 and 265 feet long, meaning only around 10 could go through at a time. Later on, some were extended to 450 feet, allowing around 19 through at a time. Goole Docks, where the Knottingley-Goole Canal ended to join the Ouse, had empty compartments stood there, and when a colliery needed to make a shipment, they would contact Goole Docks, who would send out empty compartments to the necessary colliery. There, an engine would bring the empty compartments up on an underwater railway, where they were loaded, then taken back down to the canal and back to Goole Docks. It is estimated up to 200 compartments went to Goole Docks a day when the canal was at its peak. One of these locks included Pollington Locks, which was built in 1825 and later had to be extended, including as recently as 1970. Along the way to Goole, in Rawcliffe Bridge, Croda was founded in 1925 by George Crowe and Henry Dorr. They were the first people in England to make lanolin, a type of protective fat found in sheep's wool, for purposes such as cosmetics or waterproofing. As we approach the docks in question, one of the most prominent sights you'll see is the Southfield Reservoir. This was built as part of the extension of the new Junction Canal. Its purpose was to provide water for the canals. Collieries that would have had access to the canal and thus to the Humber include Welldale Colliery, which opened in 1868 and closed in 1987, and was located just to the east of Knottingley. During its life, thanks to the Tom Puddings, approximately 55 million tonnes of coal were shipped down the canal. In 1905, the Sheffield and South Yorkshire Canal joined via the new Junction Canal. Later, the tugs were then diesel-powered. Following their nationalisation in 1948, under the Transport Act 1947, canals were no longer independently owned, and the Knottingley-Goole Canal was operated by the British Transport Commission. Goole also ceased being a company town, with the Eyre and Calder's estate being sold at auction in 1952. Industrial decline in the 1960s and 1970s meant that many canals ceased to be used. Harker's ultimately closed in 1979 thanks to declining demand because of the closure of the collieries. Tom Puddings were also stopped being used in 1986, running from Staithes in Doncaster to Goole. Even today, it is still used for cargo such as oil and sand. This is the canal that helped make Goole Docks the 5th best coal docks in the UK. Following the end of the Tom Puddings, the Yorkshire Waterways Museum maintained the heritage of the canal by operating a former compartment tug, Welldale, and a small fleet of Tom Puddings. Goole Docks officially opened on the 20th of July 1826, becoming a port in 1828. The docks became famous for its use of hoists to lift coal from the compartments into the ships to be sent down the Ouse. The first hoist was made of wood, while the rest were made of steel. Later in their life, they could hoist 300 tons of coal per hour. As the demand of coal declined, however, so did the use of the hoists. As a result, all but number 5 had been demolished by 1993, with number 5 being preserved as a Grade 2-star listed building by APP. The museum closed in 2019. Goole Docks is still in use today, with a global trade network, and lays claims to being the UK's most inland port. Goole was first recorded in the 1300s and is a Middle English word which translates as a channel made by a stream. By the 1820s, Goole had developed into a small settlement in the area now known as Old Goole. To accommodate the new works for its docks, the Eyre and Calder navigation built its own town. As a result, the new town of Goole is a company town and holds the same status of locations such as Saltaire, Bourneville and Port Sunlight. When the port was opened in 1826, this new community had 450 people living here. Now, Goole is a thriving town of around 20,000. The UK was the first country to develop a canal system, and developed about 3,000 miles which are navigable today. Today, they are used for the transport of goods, for leisure, and even as a place for people to live. The Knottingley-Goole Canal, like a lot of other canals, helped improve the area, increase the industrialisation of Britain, and sped up transport. It's not just a place for a walk today, it's a piece of heritage for everyone.